we go. I think it's working. Okay, let's turn off closed captioning. Let's do that. I don't know. I think it's working. It's hard to tell. Let's find out. Hopefully, people can see me and hear me and all that kind of stuff. My software that I use, XSplit, decided it needed to do an update just before I launched, and it's been troublesome. Let's just say that. So hopefully you folks can see me and hear me. There's definitely someone saying sounds, so that's at least a benefit. There we go. Looks like it's working. All right. Well, let's hope. Like it immediately, like it's like, oh no, there's a essential update. I'm like, all right, cool, great. So I did it, and then just a bunch of stuff, and I had to reauthorize YouTube, and then there was like, oh, this port is blocked, so that could be a problem. And it's like, click here to find out more, and I would click on it, nothing would happen. It's great. I should really switch to OBS and get rid of this XSplit shenanigans, but yeah. Let's see here. Oh, Tim's having dinner. That's hopefully you can eat in front of the computer. There's nothing wrong with that. 15 minutes because others were in charge of taxis. Oh, that's a bummer. All right. Good morning from San Jose. How you doing, Brad? AVS, Tim, Wojtek, and all you folks. Hope you're doing well. Michael Strange, howdy gang. Hard to believe I actually made a show. I'm sure something will come to pull me away. Those things happen. Let's see here. I'm stuck without audio for the first chat. Still nice to hear and be with you all. Well, I mean, that's a good chance I probably won't say anything good, Let's see. Telling me you caught a case of the smashed atoms. That sounds dangerous. I don't know if that's a good idea. Joseph, how you doing? Pro JG, how you doing? Brian 444, how you doing? Potshot, evening all. Let's see here. Sunny Western New York. Finally able to catch the show. Well, good to have you, Mike. As you can tell here, it's alternating between cloudy and sunny, and it's weird. But it also snowed overnight. Not a lot, but some. A little bit. I don't know. Half inch or so. Nothing much. Hello from snowy Manitoba. Good morning from cold Washington State. See you fine. Audio is a bit choppy. Is that the case? I got that thing I tried using in the last Every Other Sunday show, that Logitech audio software. I got that turned off, so hopefully there's not too much in the way of choppiness, but we'll see. Simon says, how you doing? Chris, checking in from my patio gym in Central America. That sounds fun. JP got rockets. Well, I had some technical issues earlier this week. You're in good company. Oh, and I use OBS, so not as problem free as you might hope. It works generally pretty well with my Twitch stream. And this has worked fine up here, but one of these days I think I'm going to probably switch over to the other thing. Sound coming in and out for anyone else? Oh, good. All right. What kind of dumbassery could that be? I wonder if that Elgato piece of crap on again? I thought I turned that off. Hang on. Quit. Maybe that'll help. Because I wonder if the Elgato software was on again. So yeah, let me know if that helped anything or not. I know there's a bit of a lag and all that kind of stuff, but I enjoyed watching your Battlefield 2042 paint break. So many shenanigans. Oh, there was a lot of shenanigans. It's true. I may do that again tonight. I've got a bunch of stuff I got to get done. I got to get my video done for the speed paints. I want to put up my speed paint video probably this upcoming Friday, and so I've got to film a bunch of, frankly, painting and stuff like that. And so I'm trying to get that figured out, and so that would be kind of a thing. Is it any better? No? Anyone? Let me know if it's any better, because I turned off the Logitech stuff. At least I think I did. Let's see here. Able to watch live thanks to being home from work with COVID. Oh. Seems way better sans Elgato. Well, it's it's not Elgato. It's Logitech. The Logitech G Hub is what they call it. And last week during the show, I was trying to do it to see if it could cut out background noise and stuff like that with this Blue Yeti microphone. and it cuts out the black background noise, but it also messes with the audio. So I'm still fading up and down. I turned that software off. Do these chats usually happen on Saturdays? Hey, Comp the Irregulars live show happens on usually the Saturday closest to the 20th of the month. It's vague. Okay, well, that software shouldn't even be on anymore, so I'm going to try to turn it back on and then turn it off again. That's how you work computers. You turn them on, turn them off again. Where the shit is this? Nope, can't spell Logitech. There we go. We will open up the G Hub, which will take a little bit of time. Come on. Okay, yes, I know. It's a desktop microphone. Yep. How do I get it to stop doing this? Enable, turning it off. Cool. Okay. And maybe that'll help. You guys let me know if that fixed it. I just went into the software, opened it up again, and told it to stop doing that. You would think that closing the software would tell it to stop doing that, but maybe not. We will see. Reposition the mic. The mic is exactly where it sits all the time. It's right here. So this was happening a little bit last time. That's suddenly much better and just got a lot louder. Yeah, it's that garbage Logitech software that I won't be using anymore. Is it too loud? You can turn it down a little bit. Otherwise, I don't know. I didn't change anything on the mic. So, yeah. He is a rascal, that Necromando. God, it's bright. Why? What's with the sun? Stop it. Bouncing off all the snow, blinding everybody. There we go. Much better. Now the signal sounds way too hot. I don't know. I got nothing. I mean, I could change it here. Oh, well, this... Let's bounce this down a little bit. Does that help? Maybe? A little bit? So it sounds like it's maybe a combination of both the G-Hub garbage from Logitech and also the new version of XSplit. I just noticed the audio is cranked way up, and so, yeah, that's probably an issue as well. So I'll dial it back down, so I'm generally peaking in the yellow, not peaking in the red. So there's that. I apologize. I would have had this all figured out beforehand, hopefully, I would think, except I was over at my mom's. Her checking account's all gibbered up, and she doesn't understand she doesn't have a laptop anymore, and so she tries to do it all on her phone, and it's not helping. So, yeah, anyway, so hopefully we're a little bit better now. All right. So I'll go back and listen to this afterwards and see what's going on and see what, I don't know. Maybe I need a new mic. Maybe this mic sucks now. That's possible, too. We'll see. Let's see here. Much better. Gotcha. A lot louder. Sorted. Please continue. Hello from the hub of the universe. How you doing, James S? Potshot. How you doing? Neo. Howdy. Let's see if I miss anyone. John Patchman. How you doing? What else have we got? You were clipping a bit before? Yeah, I turned down the overall output or input, or I don't know. I think it's, I guess, technically input. Well, no, it seems... Yeah. XSplit, I don't understand why it is. XSplit and OBS both have kind of terrible UI, and this didn't help, this new update. I don't know. But anyway. Logitech makes great hardware, but I don't know their software. It's not great, a lot of it. Yeah, I don't know why that is, but there you go. There we go. The sun is a massive incandescent gas. It's true. A gigantic nuclear furnace where hydrogen is built into helium at a temperature of millions of degrees. It's true. It's very true. Those they might be giants. They're very, very smart. Yeah. So anyway. So yeah, my afternoon at least, and probably some of tomorrow as well, is going to be working on the Army Painter speed paint video, which will be going live in theory, God willing, and the creek don't rise, on Friday. So my plan right now is to paint a bunch of different, mainly Space Marine scouts. Paint them all, paint their lower parts blue, let's say. Like on this one, we'll use Ultramarine blue from GW and paint from the belt down blue, and then use the same color from Army Painter on another guy, and then just kind of, so there's uppers and lowers and all that kind of stuff and whatever. And someone suggested, I think it might have been Noob Painter, was like, well, you should try painting them half and half, side to side, instead of up and down. But I think that's going to be super hard. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see. But yeah, I'm going to get started on that today and get that video done. So far, long and short of it is the what I've used so far of the paints. I think they're basically just as good as the contrast paints. They cost half as much. So, instead of being like nearly $8 an 18 milliliter bottle, they're $4 for an 18 milliliter bottle. And they are, the only nitpick, honestly, that I have really is that I kind of wish they came in pots. But then again, I wish that every other paint out there came in dropper bottles, which most of them do, except for Games Workshop. But I want all washes and shades and contrast paints to come in pots, and I want all opaque paints to come in dropper bottles. But that's my own personal problem, as it were. So, afternoon from Pittsburgh. How you doing, Lifeblighter? Let's see here. How's your mom doing these days? All good, I hope. I mean, health-wise, she's okay. Her leg is fine. She doesn't like going out in the winter much at all because it's slippery and she's afraid she's going to fall again, and I understand that. Luckily, she's been like getting groceries delivered and things, from like Walmart, and I think she either gets her prescriptions and stuff like that delivered, or I pick them up sometimes. She's got a prescription for her dog because her dog has like what do you call it? Seizures sometimes. Epilepsy, I guess, maybe. I don't know if it's epilepsy in dogs is the same thing, or she just has random seizures. But so there's pills for that. So I usually pick those up and stuff like that especially during the winter again. But yeah, otherwise she's. We'll see how it goes. Let's see. Your Irregulars will help dial in the sound for your every other Sunday show. I mean, I appreciate that, certainly. Yeah, not the original plan, but I do appreciate the help. Having a snack of taco meat, jalapenos, and chips before doing some batch painting. Finishing pin washing on 5 more infiltrators. That sounds pretty good. I mean, you almost got yourself nachos there. I think you need cheese, personally. You may be lactose intolerant. You may not like cheese, whatever. That's fine, too. But in general, I think if you add cheese, you pretty much have nachos. Technically, nearly anything where you have tortilla chips and something else is kind of nachos, I think. Like, is just tortilla chips and salsa, is that nachos? That I don't think so. It's a good question. I'm not a nacho scientist, but I do. I'm gonna go roll down the thing. Hang on. I don't know if that'll help, but it might. I don't think your mic is bad, though. Those are good mics. I've had it for a really long time, so I don't know if that's maybe part of the issue. It's hard to say. Let's see here. Has anyone done flat stuff with the speed paint? A little bit. I did just for my very initial test before they sent me the main box. They just kind of sent me some piecemeal tubes of bottle or dropper bottles, and I think I had 7 different colors, and I put them onto an old tactical Space Marine that I had primed white. And in my opinion, they still have that same kind of like layering kind of issue where if you get like a little bit, like if you do this side of the leg and then you do the leg armor, which is kind of flat anyway, and then you do this side of it and this side's kind of been sitting for a while and you overlap them, you get a darker spot on them. I'll show that in the video. But because he's an old beaky Marine, I think, and I definitely did that. Whether on the legs, I did it on purpose to see whether that happened, but I also did it across his beaky on his nose. There's like a dark blue stripe. I painted his head blue, and it looks fine, but there's a dark blue stripe in the middle where I had 2 parts. Like this part had dried a bit, and then I went overlap. It's the same issue that Games Workshop has with the Citadel paints or the contrast paints. I think that it's a situation of like just, it's just inherent to the system, right? If you want that stuff to dry quickly or even kind of quickly, it's going to happen sometimes. It's one of the reasons why you just don't generally use contrast paints on models that are, that have a lot of flat areas. You don't paint a rhino with contrast paints, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. But it looks great on things that are furry, things that are scaly, things that are, that kind of stuff. Contrast fails on armor paints and vehicles. Same, yeah, and this stuff doesn't work that great either, as far as I've seen. Airbrush work. I would think that it would work just as well, airbrush-wise. I'm pretty sure it would. I mean, actually, one of the bigger benefits to using this stuff in your airbrush than using the contrast paints is that it's already in a dropper bottle, so it's really easy to drop into the airbrush, whereas it's kind of a pain to put contrast paints into your airbrush, I find. But yeah, I should probably shoot through an airbrush, too, on some terrain or something. Got to go soon, so I'll just say paint the medical droid. I get you. Thinking about using speed paints for my Troll Bloods project. I could see that, yeah. Half up, half down would be easy to try when you test them through your airbrush. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't like going out in the winter much either, and I live in Scotland. Well, yeah, here it's a lot of ice and snow a lot of the time. We've had actually a relatively mild snow winter, but we've still got snowbanks, and there's a decent amount of snow on the ground. But we hadn't had snow for like a week plus until today. We had some, which made the roads a touch slippery, but not too bad. I love the shirts you wear on your Friday videos. Where do you get them? All over, mainly, generally, kind of the internet. The one I wore this week was, there's this podcast that I listen to called Last Podcast on the Left. I'm a very big fan. Sam turned me on to it back in 2015, 2016, somewhere in there. And they talk, it's three comedians, and they talk about, sometimes they talk about aliens, sometimes they talk about cryptids. They talk a lot about true crime, a lot about serial killers and things like that, and they do a lot of research. They're funny, but they also do a ton of really good research from a lot of different book sources and online interviews and all kinds of stuff like that. And they do big multi-part series sometimes about specific, like they did a 5-part series about the Jonestown Massacre. They did a 5-part series about, or maybe a 4-part series about Jeffrey Dahmer. I mean, things like that. Ed Gein. Okay, admittedly, those are both from Wisconsin, but they other states as well, and countries as well. So they did one just recently, I think a 2-part about Lizzie Borden, and that kind of stuff. So it's just interesting, and I like listening to it. And that shirt's from their merch store. It's the 3 guys from there and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, but otherwise, I don't know. I just find shirts here and there, and I do that kind of stuff. I'm currently wearing this is one of the upcoming new designs that'll be launching soon. I think I've shared this in the Discord in the past, but yeah. So tortilla-based snacks are nacho specialty. Nice. That's very good. Very good there, Neo. Nachos must have cheese and jalapenos at the minimum to be considered nachos. Otherwise, it's just chips and cheese. I mean, there's a lot of folks that don't like jalapenos. I love jalapenos, but, I don't know. That's a good question. I've always thought it's got to have cheese and meat. There's probably an answer to this. I just don't know what it is. There's got to be a nacho authority, a nacho commission, possibly some sort of triumvirate. I could see that. I'm going to make tacos tonight. I'm going to go do a Kroger run after the stream. Nice. I wonder if GW prices will come down now that they seem to have competition in that market. Probably not. I mean, sure, it'd be great, but I don't know. They have a lot of competition. Well, they have a decent amount of competition, but they don't seem to lower prices too much. If anything, there are times when they don't raise prices too much, which is to them is like lowering prices. But yeah, I don't know. We're not in that particular point of right now of the timeline. We're in the definitely raising some prices kind of stuff. So there's that. But yeah, has the new stuff for Kill Team been? Is that for pre-order yet? I can't keep track of the dates. Today's the 22nd. I think they sent me some stuff for Kill Team. I think I can talk about it today. It's hard to tell though. I've been getting almost constant emails. Like they send stuff and they're like, you can talk about it on this date, and then they'll be like, oh no, you can't talk about it that date. You can talk about this later date, but then they'll be like, this thing that you said we told you to talk about on this date, you can now talk on it earlier, and it's been all over the board, and I can't keep track anymore. But they did send this new Kill Team box, which is basically the old Kill Team box, but with slightly less stuff in it. I was like, what? Like, why did you? It's just the weirdest. I don't understand what they're doing anymore. I got to be honest with you. Like, it comes with the Krieg, it comes with the orcs, same number of them. It comes with the board, and it comes with terrain, but only like the one part orc terrain. Nothing where you had to build it, really. Nothing that had like a second floor on it. It's just the low stuff and the little those little barricades and all that jazz. That's all that comes in there. And then there's like a simple instruction booklet, and it gives you the stats for the models in the box, but then there's an Octarius book you can buy separately if you want to, which then has those same stats in it and some extra stuff. And I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. It's really crazy. Beakies takes me back to the day. Oh, indeed. I've got cheese and sour cream mixed in with the meat, scooping it with the chips. There you go. That's a pretty good deal. Don't say airbrush. Mine are giving me fits lately. Cannot seem to hit the paint viscosity mark to save my life. I don't know. I get a lot of questions, people saying, how much should I thin my paint to put it through my airbrush? Which is a weird question to ask, because I don't know how to answer it. You know what I mean? Like, the best answer I can give is like skim milk. Get it to the consistency of skim milk. But sometimes people are like, yeah, but how much? And then I'll just be like 7. I don't know what the, I don't know what paint you're using. I can't tell you 5 drops of this to 3 drops of this, because it's very variable, even within certain paint ranges. So I'm not saying you're asking that question. It just, I had one recently, and the person was just like unhappy with the like skim milk thing. So like, I don't know what skim milk looks like. I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you. That all being said, I think that personally, one of the reasons that I dodge all of that is because I just use airbrush paint. I know it's not necessarily the best bet, or the best, it's not the best economical answer, as it turns out. And also sometimes you've got a color that you're using with a brush, and then you want to be able to match with your airbrush as well. And if you're using monument paints, let's say, for your opaque brush painting, and then you want to use Vallejo or Army Painter or some other airbrush paint, the colors aren't going to match probably. So that's kind of a bummer. But yeah, I do have a tendency to bypass all that by just using airbrush paints. But when I do find I have to thin something down, I do try to target skim milk. Like, that's kind of what I'm looking for as far as my viscosity. But I don't, that's the best I can do, unfortunately. I use pipettes when putting contrast in my airbrush. Makes it so easy. Yeah, I can never keep pipettes around. I don't know, like, they get all gunked up with stuff, and then I have to get a new one, and I'm not very good about that. I just wish that they would put their opaque paints into droppers. Like, honest to God, that would be great. And then they could put, like, the fact that Games Workshop makes airbrush paints that don't come in droppers is just mental. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Yeah, the new Kill Team is up on pre-order. Oh, good. Then I'm assuming that that's one of the things I can talk about. But yeah, it's an odd. It's like $100, I think, $99. So it's $99. You get the same 2 armies. I think you get the same board. I don't know that it's a paper board. I think it's still a cardboard board. You get less terrain, and you get a much thinner book. You don't get the core rule book. You get like a, hey, here's a book you can use to kind of play, sort of. Why not? And that's about it. And I don't know why they did that. It's very strange to me. I think that they're having real shipping issues, and they're trying to do everything they can to mitigate that by keeping release schedule up, but releasing just weird random stuff somewhat. I don't know. I don't understand it. It's very strange. I need some suggestions for a name for my Turnip 28 regiment who worship leeks. GW equals getting weirder. Okay, I can see that, yeah. Leaky cheese? No, that's probably not a good name. It's like too thick and sprays spotty. Add 1 drop of thinner and it's like watercolor. I mean, generally I prefer... Well, okay, 2 questions. A question and a comment. Number 1, I generally prefer thinner versus thicker. Generally, for airbrush, but that's me. Secondly, what was my second question? Oh, so the question is, what is the base paint that you're using that you're adding thinner to? Is it GW? Is it Vallejo? Is it Army Painter, Monument? That I don't know that that'll help, but it's interesting to know. Let's say that. I don't know what skim milks look like. How could somebody fix that? I mean, there is no answer. Well, I mean, maybe you live in a place where milk is outlawed. I don't think that's a thing. I mean, certainly not in Wisconsin. It's a possibility also of people like my mom and my dad at the same time back in the day. Like neither of them would ever drink skim milk. Like I got into skim milk in college, which sounds like a stupid thing to say, but that's when I started drinking skim milk. Otherwise, it was always 2%. But then I was working at this camera shop, and one day on a Saturday, one of the women that I was working with, she brought in cookies, and she brought in like a little quart or a half gallon or something like that of skim milk. And I was like, "Ooh, cookies and milk, that sounds like pretty good." Because it was Saturday, and I was working, and it was going to be there at work for a long time. And I was like, skim milk, yeah. And I'd always been told that skim milk was terrible or whatever. So I was like, well, it's better than nothing, I guess. Better than cookies and water. I mean, you're like a psycho if you like cookies and water, don't you? That's what I think. I don't know. Could be wrong. I do live in Wisconsin. And so I tried it, and I was like, oh, this is really nice, actually, because, like, it's not so thick. It's more refreshing almost. Like skim milk is almost kind of a little refreshing a little bit. Whereas like 2% or God forbid whole milk is like, this is very thick. No. So anyway, that's how I kind of got interested in drinking skim milk most of the time. And then it wasn't much longer than that I did move out of my parents' house. Not because of the milk, schism. Don't get me wrong. I was done with college basically. And then I was like, I got to get out of here. And anyway, cookies and beer. Well, again, it's Wisconsin, so maybe. But I don't know. Sausage and beer, sure. Cheese and beer, absolutely. Cookies and beer, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I've done it. I know I've done it, but it's not ideal. People need to learn how to experiment and try things for themselves. That's how you learn. You know, that's true. And I remember going to college and working on a project for something in an art class, specifically early art classes, like intro to this and intro to that and whatever. And I would be like, I'm stuck and I don't know. And then I would go up to my professors and say, well, do you think I should do it this way? Or do you think I should do it this way? Or I'd ask, what do you think I should do here? But specifically, if I gave them choices, do you think I should do A or B? I cannot tell you how many times my professors were like, well, try it both ways and see which one you like better. Which doesn't sound like an answer. And at the time, it would annoy the hell out of me. I mean, like, why would I do it twice? Just tell me which way's better. But as I've gotten older, I start to see the benefit to that. They could say, this is the way you should do it, but that would be from their point of view. And it's art, meaning it's subjective. So they don't want to tell me this is how you should do it because I think it's the best way. They want you to figure out how you should do it. We're not talking about like a puzzle that needs a solution necessarily. Like, how should I fasten this piece of paper to this other piece of paper? And in that situation, they'd be like, well, why don't you try glue or tape or something else like that, dumbass? But if you're like, should I paint this blue or green? Which way is better? That point, they're like, you need to figure that out, is basically what they were saying. So that's why instead of them just going, don't ask me, figure it out yourself, they're saying, try it both ways and see which way you like, which is kind of the same thing. But yeah, it took me a long time to figure that out. It took me a long time to think that maybe my teachers were just dumb and just being like, or just being obtuse. You know what I mean? Like, why would you not just tell me the way to do it? But it's because they kind of can't. Because it's not, this is how you glue things together. It is, which of these two things looks better to you? And that was the thing, when you're trying to learn art, it has to come from you and not from what your teacher told you to do. Your teacher can tell you how to clean your brushes and how to do this and how to do that and technical stuff, but the artsy-fartsy actual stuff kind of needs to come from you to some degree. And practice is also a huge part of it as well. So that is also true. I enjoyed Ash's review of the Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader book, First Ed, where it had counters to cut out and to play the game with. Pretty wild. I have that book. It's a reprint. I have the reprint of the original first edition Rogue Trader book. Games Workshop made it and was selling it at conventions through Forge World. I don't know. I bought it probably 2016 or 2017, I think, at Adepticon. And it is wild. It's wild to see the pretty old stuff. Monument Sky Blue with Vallejo airbrush thinner. So Monument Sky Blue is too thick just by itself? That is interesting. Because Monument is so fluid. I've never tried putting it through an airbrush, but I've always looked at it and thought it wouldn't take much. You know what I mean? The one thing I would maybe try, and this is a guess, and it's also trial and error, unfortunately, but maybe instead of a drop of thinner, maybe a drop of water. There's a lot of people out there who swear by thinner in their airbrush, and there's a lot of people that swear by water, and there's a lot of people that swear by Windex for reasons. I don't even understand that one. I would think it would turn things blue, like even a little bit. But yeah, so if the thinner seems like it's thinning it too much, maybe... It also depends on how much you're putting into your airbrush. If you're only putting in like 2 drops of sky blue and then 1 drop of thinner, I could see that being problematic. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe like a drop of water instead of thinner and see if that helps. I'm not sure. Like I said, I have a tendency to shy away from specifically trying to use regular paints in my airbrush, but I've always thought that like Army Painter paints you'd have to thin the hell out of to get through the airbrush. They've actually made an airbrush medium for Army Painter paints that you can put in there that will then allow you to airbrush the Army Painter paints a little bit better, allegedly. And it works fine. I've used it. That I've used, actually, because they sent me a bottle of it pre-production, and I was like, I gave them kind of notes and was like, yeah, this works relatively well. I like it. And they had instructions on the bottle about how many drops you should try to use as a base and that kind of stuff and whatever. Yeah, that's a good question, though. That is a good question. But maybe water might help. I don't know. That's the best answer I've got as a person who doesn't usually mix too much in the... if anyone else in the chat's got any ideas, definitely let us know. Allium ampelosarosum. That's wild leek in Latin, maybe. Well, alliums, we have just outside the dining room window over here, we have every spring we have allium plants that grow up, which are basically like a long, tall, skinny stem that's probably 2-3 feet tall almost, and then at the top there's just this weird purple kind of like, it's like a ball, and it has a bunch of little struts and things that stick out and little purpley flowered little tiny ones, and it's just like a ball on top of a stick, and they just a bunch of them, and they grow out there. And I've been told that they're called allium. Let's see here. Asking questions is the sign of intelligence. That's how we all learn. Yeah, and that's the thing, is when you're a college student, specifically beginning, like freshman, you just want answers. You're like, no, just tell me how to do it, and that's that. It took me a while to understand that was what was going on. Honestly, I was probably out of college before I started figuring it out. So, well, there's that too. I've had good luck with contrast paints for my airbrush, especially on large stuff like the Rhino for my wife's sister's battle army I'm working on. Yeah, I mean, contrast paints through the airbrush are basically, because they're transparent, they are like I use them a lot for weathering and filters and stuff like that, especially on terrain. I like to use a lot of contrast paint fired through my airbrush for terrain, because you can paint the building a color with opaque paints, but then you want to go back and just kind of make it a little brown and grungy in this corner, or maybe like there's like an air conditioning unit up here and you want to make it look like there's been a lot of like, it's been there for years and years and years, and there's just general kind of exhaust staining on the side of the building, so you can do some work with that. But you're not putting an opaque color over an opaque color. You're shooting a transparent color through your airbrush, and it gives you a little bit more wiggle room. It's harder to go whoops and put on too much color when you're using contrast through the airbrush because it's already transparent. So there's that too. I will experiment and see. Well, I hope it works out well for you. Hey, VJ Morph, how you doing? Let's see here. Or add a drop of skim milk. I would not probably put a drop of skim milk into your paint. That seems like a bad idea. Hey, from sunny Milwaukee, thinking of paints, whose horizontal paint rack is best that will fit Vallejo and Turbo Dork bottles? Those bottles are roughly the same size. I don't know. I have not bought any MDF racks for those. I use, if you want them to stand up on end with the nozzles pointing up, I actually go onto Amazon and I buy clear plastic fingernail polish racks that they use in like nail salons. You can buy those, and I've got some that are like 5 or 6 shelves, and they're tiered, so it's do. And then there are kinds you can get that just hang on the wall, and then they have shelves, and they're all on top of each other or whatever. But yeah, I would look for that. Honestly, there's a lot of different things that way. I ended up buying Green Stuff World's wall mount rack, but I want to get a rack that fits most dropper bottle sizes. Yeah, like I said, if you want to get wall mount racks, look for nail polish or nail salon racks, because they'll make them to go on the wall and stuff like that. They make some huge ones, but they're generally almost always clear acrylic. You got to kind of put them together a little bit, kind of like IKEA furniture and stuff, but they work real well. Ever used the Pro Acryl Metallic Medium? Picked some up the other day. I have not yet tried it out. I own some, but I have not tried it out. Golden acrylics are great for airbrushing. About half of their range is available in airbrush ready mix, and they have an airbrush medium for the other half. Just mix 1-1. Super easy. I have some golden airbrush medium, like a big jug of it for reasons. I don't know. I mean, it's not like a milk jug. It's not like a gallon, but it's a good sized pot of it for some reason. And I've used it in the past, and it worked out pretty well. It seems thicker than you would expect, but it does actually work pretty well. But like I said, I haven't used it much lately because I've been predominantly just using airbrush paints, and then that was been working out pretty well. I hate thinning for airbrush, so I avoid it whenever possible. Yeah, I understand that. I use nail polish racks from Amazon. Yeah, me too. They work real well. I like them. I've got 6 of them, I think. The ones that sit on a shelf, as opposed to the ones that I should probably eventually get one that attaches to the wall as well. But contrast paints sound great to try, but they just cost so much. They are not cheap. I agree. And that's, I think, one of the biggest benefits that Army painters are going to have once they can get their stuff released, is that their stuff is basically half the price. So like I said, at least here in the United States, the Army Painter speed paints are going to be, for an 18 milliliter bottle, are going to be $3.99, and the 18 milliliter pots that contrast paints come in are $760 or $780 US. So yeah, that's a pretty big difference. And like I said, just in the testing I've done so far, and I'll be doing more over the next couple of days as I work on the video for next Friday, or this upcoming Friday, I don't see a huge difference. You know, they're not like they're crazy better, and they're also not worse. They're just, if anything, the biggest difference that I notice between them is that they have a little bit more fluidity to them. Like contrast paints seem thicker, not in pigment, but just in the fluid. Like you push them around a little bit more, whereas at least I noticed it seemed with the speed paints that they just kind of flowed a little bit easier. And I don't know if that's necessarily good or bad. You know what I mean? But it kind of sounds good. So I have Typhoon Hobbies racks. I recommend highly tiered with small footprint for dropper bottles. Lots of DIY thinners are IPA 91 distilled water and a couple drops of glycine. I haven't tried that. Wow, I haven't. That's interesting. That makes sense, I guess. I have Vallejo, Citadel, and Monument on the nail polish racks. Yeah, that's the thing that's nice about the nail polish racks, is they don't have like slots to put stuff in. It's just little kind of troughs. And so they fit the Monument bottles, which are bigger, girthier, if you will, because the Monument bottles just have more stuff in them. They're like 22 milliliter, I think, or maybe more. But then if I put like Vallejo or Army Painter or whatever type bottles in there, then I can kind of stack them closer together a little bit, and they take up less space. Plus, I can also put in GW pots as well. So all of that stuff fits in those nail polish shelvy things. So I don't have room for desk-mounted racks, so I bought wall-mounted, and it really cleared a large amount of space. Yeah, I don't have room on my desk for them either, so they're on a shelving unit next to me. If I had another wall that was close, I would probably try to use those types of wall-mounted racks, although my walls are down in the basement are cinder block, so it's a little harder to, well, there's wood above, I could, hang something, but yeah, that's basically it. Turbo Dork does not fit in the same slots as Vallejo. No kidding. because they look like they're almost the same bottles. That's interesting. Maybe are the Vallejo, or sorry, are the Turbo Dork ones just a little bit thicker, like a little bit more girth to them? Perhaps. I guess they look the same, or not the same. Like obviously the tops are different, but otherwise the bottom part of the bottle seems to be roughly the same. But I guess I haven't tried putting them directly next to each other. Got a few of the Broken Token desk racks. They're modular and are either GW pot or dropper bottle sized. Also have drawer options to put beneath the desktop. Oh, that's kind of cool. I know that Monument Hobbies also has like MDF racks that they sell too, but I've not ever tried them out. Wall-mounted nail polish racks, then it's a good idea. Yeah, I think that they work out great because you're not having to put them into specific slots, and so you can put a lot of different types of bottles into those same little shelves, and it works pretty well. And it's because I think, frankly, nail polishes does not come in like standard sizes. Nail polish companies that make a lot of different weird sizes, I think. I don't know. Seems like it, at least. Turbo Dork is a bit wider and shorter. Wow, I did not realize that. Add furring strips, then install pegboard to your cinder block walls. Then you have all sorts of options. I don't know what furring strips are. I have to look that up. It might not be a bad idea behind my desk, because then I could get some of those things off of the desk and that would clear up a little bit more space. It might not be a bad idea. I have to use a mobile setup since I don't have a dedicated space, and I have to use a caboodle. Oh, I remember caboodles. Yeah. Okay, I get you. Unfortunately, I was like, the heck is it? Yeah, I got you. Unfortunately, my Reaper and Army Painter bottles don't fit. Yeah, I used to use a one of those big tackle boxes. It was like a big Plano type tackle box that like, it was a big rectangle kind of, and the top popped up, and there was just a bunch of crap that you could sort of store in there that was maybe a space about, I don't know, 5-6 inches height. And then there was a big door on the front that like opened towards you, and then there were 4 little skinny drawers that would slide out. And so I would put paints in those drawers, which when you, then, you know, and it was not ideal, but it worked okay. And then now I have one of those, when I don't really go anyplace, but if I did and was taking my paints and my projects with me, I have one of those Frontier wooden boxes, kind of. Frontier Wargaming, I think the name of the company is. They make these wooden boxes for painters and stuff, and they're for painting on the go. And they're actually really nice. I bought one from them, gosh, it was before the pandemic. So it was, I don't know, 2018, 2019, I bought one from them. And I even paid a little bit extra, and because they'll do engraving on the front, because it's laser engraving, because it's made out of thin, like wood stuff. But so they engraved the Tabletop Means logo on there. It was pretty cool. They reached out to me not too long ago, now that I just thought about it. They reached out to me, and they're like, hey, maybe we'd like, and there was like a sponsor thing, maybe the potential or whatever, and they're like, we'll send you a thing. And I was like, hey, I bought one like 3 years ago. And then they were like, oh, well, maybe we'll figure something else out. And I was like, yeah, and then I forgot, and now here we are. I'm bad at business, as it turns out. I've had some sponsors reach out lately, and they've all been like Skillshare reached out and wanted to do a deal and all that kind of stuff, and I was just like, I don't know. I just don't feel like Skillshare is right for my audience necessarily. Also, I use Skillshare sort of in that I pay for it, but honestly, it's rare. I don't think it's that good of a service. I used to use something called lynda.com, lynda.com. That then eventually got bought by Microsoft or LinkedIn. I think it got bought by LinkedIn, and then LinkedIn got bought by Microsoft, something like that. But we had free access to it through my wife's job, and those were all like really high quality, good videos teaching you how to use software and this and that and all that kind of stuff. And I used to use that stuff quite a bit, and then that went away. I mean, lynda.com I think is still out there, but the university was like, oh yeah, that's a benefit, so let's get rid of it. And oh, I'm sorry, buddy. Diesel's trying to look out the window, but I had to pull down the blinds. Anyway, Skillshare is not that good, in my opinion. I think a lot of the videos are and so I kind of like, and they sent an email a couple of times, like, hey, we haven't heard anything back, and I'm like, finally I went back and I was like, yeah, I don't think it's going to work. But then, I don't know, Squarespace also, well, not Squarespace themselves, but some marketing company working for Squarespace reached out, and I was kind of like, I mean, I actually use Squarespace for my website stuff. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. And then another one just reached out too. Keeps, which I think is like I think they sell like stuff to like get rid of your bald, which honestly I could probably use, but I've never used it, so I'm not going to like advertise it and be like, oh, this stuff is great when I've never used it. So yeah, I don't know. That's why I'm not great at all these kind of sponsorship things that you see some of the other wargaming YouTubers do, because I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's because I've already got a day job and I'm okay with that and it's fine, but I don't know. I don't know. Everything is a little weird these days as far as like the channel is concerned. I think things are going fine, but it's hard to tell sometimes. Sometimes videos are doing well. Like the last two have done quite nice. They've been great, but I don't know. It's just been kind of weird lately. I got to get the basement finished. That's another thing I'm going to do this weekend, is continue to work on that. I've been making actual progress, which has been great. I've got some more space, and so that's been good, and I want to continue to go down that road. I want to try doing some other types of streaming stuff. Like I mentioned, I think before, I do want to try a little bit of streaming with Sam and maybe stream some games and try that out and see if people are interested in that kind of thing. I don't know. I feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over again. And I've had some people in the comments, one recently on Friday, it was kind of a jerk. It was like, you're getting real repetitive. And I was like, I'm just trying to, I mean, I guess I could talk about other I don't know, board games? You want me to talk about RPGs? I don't want to talk about that stuff. I don't know what to tell you. I've made 620 videos or something like that. It's, but I don't know. We will see. We will see. I've got a couple bottles of Turbo Dork. They're in the GW pot slots. Oh, there you go. That would fit. I love Monuments paints. I do too, Chris. I find the metallics very hard to mix. I don't mix a lot of paints, so I guess I haven't bumped up against that, though. But I can understand that. I put them on a Typhoon mixer, and I still have separate... Oh, you mean within the bottle. Oh, I haven't had trouble with my rich gold, my light bronze, my regular bronze. Dark silver, I feel like whenever I use it, it could be shooken a little bit better, and I've never been able to shooken it enough. You know what I mean? Dark silver's a little weird. I got to be honest with you. I'll also be honest with you. I generally, for silver, I just use the Vallejo metallic air stuff. But for gold, though, rich gold is that's the Monument. Rich gold is real dope. It's very good. White gold is also quite good for highlighting it, and the bronzes I like a lot too. But yeah, I honestly don't use the Monument silvers that much because I have the Vallejo silvers. So, hey Tim, how you doing? Let's see here. Worst capitalist ever. I don't know that I'm the worst capitalist, but I'm definitely a bad capitalist, that's for sure. And I'm okay with that. DIY for paint. Use a drawer and super glue plastic corner protectors cut to length to the inside of the drawer per the height you need. Plastic corner protectors. I don't think I know what those are. I'm not sure what a plastic corner... Like oh, you mean the things like you put on your... like on the drywall, like down the edge of the corner in your house or something like that? Like if you got a hallway or something? Okay, maybe if it's that I could see. That would make sense. Sure, yeah. It's almost like molding. It's like comes in long strips. It's kind of hard plastic, usually clear, and then you put it... Yeah, okay. I get what you're saying. Standing on its side, the drawer looks great for holding paint. The corner protector has an 85-degree angle, so the paint's lean slightly back. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Slev, how you doing? A late good evening from Manchester, where I'm cooking a steak tea. I don't know what that means. A steak tea. I mean, like you're cooking a steak for tea. Tea being not a thing you drink, but like a mealtime. Like I've heard of like you're having tea, but you might not actually have tea during tea. You know what I mean? But you're having some steak during tea, or are you sprinkling tea on your steak? I don't know. That might be cool. I don't know. I've sprinkled blue cheese. That's pretty good. Raid Shadow Legends. No. I can't tell you how many emails I've gotten from those guys and from a bunch of different mobile apps. There's so many mobile apps out there that are licensed to Games Workshop, so these people just reach out and they're like, oh, absolutely, we'll start this because you talk about Games Workshop, and so therefore you want to do this mobile thing. And I'm like, no, I don't want to work with any of you mobile people, frankly. Ugh. It's good not to be a shill. Well, I appreciate that. Basement for the win. Indeed, like I said, we've got. It is definitely, there's progress. Not as much as I would like, obviously. I would like to just go downstairs and be like that lady from Bewitched back in the 60s or whatever on that TV show where I just like wiggle my nose or whatever and then boom, it's all clean. That would be what I want to do. But as it turns out, I'm not Samantha whatever, so I can't do that, which is a bummer. I try. Oh, I try. I don't know. For a guy with 250,000 follows, I say you're doing pretty well. I mean, it's fine. Don't get me wrong. I just like, I don't know. I do think to myself that I should be trying to do more, but it is a 3-job situation currently, and so there's that. But I don't know. Do you follow Hank Green by chance? Hank Green. No, I don't. But somebody on Twitter just posted to something that he did recently. He did a really interesting video about content creators and the funding they get from their platforms. Yeah, I did watch that, as a matter of fact. Who do I follow that posted that? Casey Neistat, maybe, or something. I don't know. Yeah, but it was really interesting because so long story short is YouTube is the only platform out there right now that splits the money. Well, okay, not including Twitch, because not including live streaming. Live streaming is a slightly different thing. But between YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all those things, YouTube splits the ad revenue that's on your channel with you, and you technically get 50 or 55% of the ad revenue. So if you get more and more and more and more views or whatever, you get more and more money. TikTok and the others will have a fund that they set up, which they call a creator fund. So let's say the creator fund is $200 million for 2022. Great, that sounds awesome. Great. But if the traffic starts going way, way up on TikTok in general, as it has been doing, you just make less money because the fund doesn't grow. It's not that you're getting ad revenue based off of your views. I mean, you're getting a portion of the ad revenue based off your views, but if a lot more people start getting a lot more views, then the pie gets sliced thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner. So the better that TikTok does and the more money they make, the less money the creators make because there's less to go around. Because they don't base it off of a percentage of overall revenue. They just every year go like, we're going to give this much money, and then they put out a bunch of press releases, and everyone's like, wow, $200 million. Yeah, but they're making 3 or 4 or 6 or 10 billion a year. So, yeah, which I did not realize. I didn't realize. I had no idea how TikTok people make money at all because, and this is something that he points out in the video, when you have a video on YouTube, there are ads on your video. There are no ads on your TikTok. There are ads in between your TikToks sometimes, but it's not just your TikToks. Person just sits there and goes, oh, this guy's doing a thing, and that guy's doing a thing, and that lady's doing a dance or whatever. And then they'll put ads evidently in the middle. I haven't used TikTok in probably 1.5 years, 2 years. No. Yeah, no, it's since before the pandemic. It's when I got rid of TikTok because there was all this talk about how TikTok was searching through your phone or some junk like that, and it was security issues, and I didn't really care that much anyway. And I had it on my phone. I think we posted 2 TikToks for the Game 4 podcast. Then I was like, nah, and I got rid of it. So I don't know that I've ever seen an ad on TikTok, but evidently that's how they do it, and it's really crazy. And they're not like they should be doing it more of a, you know, like we made this much revenue this quarter, so therefore we're going to increase the creator fund, and maybe next quarter things go down. I don't know, so then we'll have to decrease the creator fund or whatever the deal is. But it should be based off of not just here's a flat fee and you guys will get portions of it, unless you guys do more work and then you'll get smaller portions, which is crazy. So yeah, I did see that video. It was very interesting. I don't know why I know that guy. He's been around forever, I guess, but I don't know that I've seen a ton of his videos, but I did see that one. All my time right now is kind of taken up looking for work, honestly. It's just hard because of my age. I'm 59 next month, and people are not interested in a hire a guy too close to retirement age. Yeah, I mean, I'm just 50 at this point, but I think about that kind of stuff as well. Yeah, no, it's I don't have any advice for that for you, unfortunately. I wish I did. Yeah, no, it's definitely something I think about, though. Tim Morton, how you doing? I thought Friday's video was good. It got me thinking about how we are as a small group game and reuse of how we as a small group game and reuse of minis. Yeah, I think that I know that I look at minis now, and one of the first things I think about, besides how cool it is or whatever, is how many, can I only use this for one game? Can I only use this for just this one title? Or is this something I could use in this and this and that? And that really makes me think about it. Now, admittedly, like, to some degree, like, you know, I want to eventually build some Turnip 28 models, and those will be predominantly just useful for Turnip 28 because they're going to be real weird looking and having grass grow out of their heads and stuff like that. And that's real hard to be like, and then we're going to also use these guys in Space Weirdos, because that's going to be a little, you know, you could technically, they're weirdos, I get it, but they're going to look like Napoleonic weirdos. So it's not it's not that every model I look at has to be able to do double or triple or quadruple duty. It's duty. But it is one of those situations where that is a thought that I have. And if I'm like, okay, this is very specific and I'm doing it just for this situation, then that's okay as long as I'm cool with it. But a lot of times if I see a model that I don't really have a good idea on what to do with it, but I have an idea of some things I could do with it, if there were more of those things I could do with it, then I'm going to do that more with it. I don't think that made a hell of a lot of sense, but we'll get real close. But thank you, Tim. I appreciate that. Repetition, if it's good, works for me. I've had also other people who are like, I don't know why you don't remake this video. I'm like, I mean, I'm gonna eventually, again, here comes that word again, eventually, when I get 3D printer set up. Actually, I had a talk with a friend of mine who's been doing a lot of 3D printing locally, and we were talking about like the room that I want to put it in, my weird Harry Potter underneath the basement stairs airbrush room, which used to be like a coal bin, and there was an actual hatch on the outside of the house, which has been welded shut because we don't take coal anymore, and we don't want people sneaking in through our coal bin, I guess. It was welded back in the 50s, or, well, gosh, probably way before that. I don't know. The house is like 100 years old. Anyway, there's this hatch, and I'm like, I don't know how I could cut through this hatch. It seems very difficult. And just to be able to put some sort of a, you know, ventilation thing through there. And my friend was like, well, what if you just drill holes? And I was like, what? And he's like, if you just drill a bunch of holes, air will still come through. You don't need to make a hole to make air go through. You could just drill a bunch of holes in that area and then not have to cut and all that stuff. He's like, it still may be very difficult. Neither of us knows how thick that thing is. But that might be a thing. Again, it might be a thing for spring, but that plus then like a little grow tent to put the thing in, and it would be able to heat. I could put like a very low-grade heater in there, like nothing that's going to melt and set things on fire, but something that will keep that grow tent around 70-ish. That would be perfect. So heading in that direction. That all being said, once I finally get that stuff going again, I'm going to remake the resin video. Well, not remake. I'm going to make a follow-up to the resin video, talking about, you know, how my mind has changed and this and that and blah, 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 and other things and stuff. So there's that, but I'm not going to, like, I don't know. It's funny when I get people who, like, you know, take me to task on this video that was from 3 or 4 years ago, and then I usually in the comments they're like, well, this isn't true, and this isn't true, and this isn't true. And I'm like, I go back and I'm like, this video was posted in like 2018. Things have changed. It's true. And then they're like, oh, because they don't look at the date. So that happens sometimes. I liked I Dream of Jeannie better than The Witch. Which is it her that did the witch that did the nose thing, or did I Dream of Jeannie did that thing where she like closed her eyes and then like did this with her head, and then things would happen. That was the witch was the nose thing. Drywall corner protection. Yep, I know what you're talking about. Good combination between your YouTube stuff and your Twitch stuff. Yeah, I get that too. Is I've been having every once in a while I get somebody who's like, why don't you ever paint in any of these videos? And then I usually reply and go, well, I paint twice a week on Twitch. You can watch me paint and ask questions and do all that kind of stuff live. And these videos are different. So, you know, there you go. I'm guessing the steak tea is the food version. I'm from Stoke-on-Trent, which isn't too far from Manchester. People here use the term tea often instead of dinner as well. Oh, I always thought it was like a late lunch. Like you got breakfast, lunch, tea, and then dinner. Possibly second breakfast and 11sies in there, depending on whether or not you're a hobbit. But other than that, okay, that's interesting. Clear everything out of the bunker, deep clean, then only put back the stuff you need. I don't know where that would go. That's the biggest issue. That's part of the problem. It's for right now, it's basically like figuring out, I'm trying to clear enough space that I can set up shelves to put things so they're not just kind of laying around everywhere. and then that will clear up other areas, which I can then. There's going to be a lot of shelves because there's a lot of stuff in there, and I'm throwing things out, but there's a lot of things I just can't throw out. There's just things I'm like, no, I kind of need that, you know. But there's other things that I've been holding on for a long time. I'm like, I don't actually need this, and sometimes it's take it to Goodwill, here and there, and sometimes it's recycling, and sometimes it's throw it out. It depends. But there's not like, again, there's not trash down there, which is the problem. If it was trash down there, I could clean out trash real quick. There's just a lot of stuff I probably don't need. One man's trash is not a man's treasure. All that jazz. I don't know. Hank Green also recently turned me onto the Junkyard Joust, which has been great fun for me and my kids and an awesome way to get more use out of my Gaslands cars. Junkyard Joust. I'll have to look that up. That's interesting. It's so damn criminal what TikTok and other platforms do. Like, I don't care about the platform. I care about the content. Yeah, I can understand that. Let's see here. Hey Nathan, how you doing? Lurking while at work, enjoying the show. The painting get done today is aircraft parts. Nice. Duty. Miniatures are like kitchen utensils. Avoid the unitaskers. Yeah. Cutting the metal is easier than drilling the metal. But how do I cut it if I don't drill a hole in it first? It's difficult. I don't know. Like, I don't have a torch or whatever for cutting, so I don't know how that would work. I kicked around the idea of actually just like trying to find some company, like some business, you know, the type of people who like install your vent for your dryer and be like, how much would it cost for you to do this and not me to do this? And then I could, since it's for 3D printing and the 3D printing's for the channel to some degree, maybe I could also expense that. I don't know. I have no idea, but I need to look into that is what I need to do. Kelly, how you doing? The problem I have is all my hobby stuff is in the basement and it's unfinished. So it's freezing cold down there right now, even though I have a space heater. Yeah, that's also, our basement is unfinished as well. And I'm fine with that because I've got friends with finished basements who have been like, well, and it doesn't happen all the time, but the guy that I was talking to we were talking about drilling holes in the hatch, you know, and all that stuff for my ventilation. He was like, probably 2005, 2004, somewhere in there. He had about, and he lives like 3 blocks from me. He had about 2.5 feet of water in his basement, his finished basement at one point, because there was a big rain that all kinds of people in this area had that trouble. This house, we didn't own it yet, but it was my wife's grandmother's house, so we were very familiar with what was going on because we were coming here every Sunday for lunch. And this house didn't flood like that in the basement, but it was a little damp. It was kind of damp. So I know he had to cut his studs and his drywall and all that jazz up about to 3 feet and then replace it and all that stuff. And, you know, I don't want to go through that. I'm fine with it being basementy down there. That being said, it is kind of chilly in the winter. But on the other hand, it's lovely and cool in the summer. So, you know... And if anything, we're just going to get more summer and less winter, as far as it seems to be going globally. So maybe I'm going to be ahead, and we'll see how that goes. Live painting is better than painting videos. They tend to have an expiration date as they're the best when a product is released. I mean, painting technique videos are probably not that bad, but I find that it is, I don't know, and maybe this is just a me problem. I find it is far better for a person like, let's say, Sam, to explain to me how to do something versus showing it to me. But I think that a lot of people on YouTube want to see how it's done instead of having it explained. And I don't know that it actually really helps. Like, if Sam just is like working on a thing, he's like, okay, then you just do this, and then he just does it, I'll be like, I don't know what the hell you just did. What? But if he's like, this is what I'm thinking about with the brush when I do this, and this is how this has to be more water, you know, have more water in it than this one, but the second layer has to have less, and that's how I blend and all that kind of stuff. If he explains it to me, then when I try it, I can get the hang of it better. But if I just like silently watch him do it, and then that doesn't, I don't learn a damn thing that way. But I think there's a lot of people on YouTube the ones who complain, I think in those comments sometimes about me, I'll be like, why did you just talk about this and not show us as much as you should have? Because I don't think you actually learn that way. Maybe you do, but I don't. So that's my point of view. Now, if a person asks a direct question and I can show them and also explain it specifically, like on Twitch, I think that probably still has a better overall maybe effect, but I still really think it's the explanation. If someone was like, hey, can you show me how you do that? And I say, sure, on Twitch, and I do it wordlessly, I don't think that's going to help. I really think that that's why you go to school and someone stands up in the front and talks at you. There are admittedly lab situations for sciences and things and like that, and there's that too. There is some benefit, but the lab normally comes after the teacher explains it to you. Then you go and try it out. When the teacher, me in this situation, explains to you how you do this kind of thing, I don't know, wet blending, let's say, which I don't really do too much of, but you know what I'm saying. I explain it to you, and then you go and try it. That's when you actually learn. Like that video that I made about you need to watch 10% of the time on YouTube and then actually practice 90% of the time. Like, that's real true. You learn so much more by trying it yourself. It just seems to be the case. But there's a vocal minority, let's say, on the internet who is like, well, no, I just want to watch you paint this entire model. And there are channels out there that just what they do. Well, for the next 45 minutes, I'm going to show you how to paint the Space Marine. And they'll do it in like super fast mode. And then you're like, oh, that's how you paint the pants. No, I tell you to paint the pants blue and you paint the pants blue. It's not that difficult. There are certain things you have to sort of learn. But yeah, again, I think it's more by doing. Painted 25 U.S. infantry for bolt action yesterday in about 4 hours to a good standard. Nice. I think I've finally hit my stride with not having to be perfect in every model for gaming. Thank God and Adam. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, especially with military guys. That was a thing that I kind of learned early on when I started painting military stuff. Is I remember painting like a Flames of War tank. And I'm like, well, I got to go through here now and paint all the handles on these little shovels that they attach to the outside of the tank. Got to paint those little handles wood. And then I went online and looked at a bunch of pictures, and I was like, nope, they just spray painted the entire damn shovel green. So honestly, I'm done already. You know what I mean? And that's actually not half bad. It's kind of nice when you're like, well, I'm already done because I don't have to do all that stuff. Like, if you want to, you could go in there and paint the handles, brown, and paint the little spade blades silver and all that kind of stuff. But really, they were all one color. So generally, I'm sure there was somebody who had one that wasn't, but in general, that was the plan. Sounds like a road trip for me and my plasma cutter. Ooh, that sounds scary. You just can't please everyone all the time. So I say is F them. Do whatever you want, Adam. Your stuff is great. Well, I appreciate that, John. Thank you. Cutting torches, your best chance. You would probably need a metal fabrication shop or a welding company. That sounds scary. Hey, Navo, how you doing? Sorry I'm late to the show, but glad to actually be able to attend. Well, absolutely. Smegging laptop is spannering, so I'm going typical. Definitely a case of be not you, it's me. Well, that's a bummer. It's all about your learning style. Some people are visual learners, some learn by doing, etc. Mountaineer, how you doing? I mean, I'm generally I definitely have a visual memory. Way better than any other type of memory, for sure. But I do think that, yeah, like, I don't know that just watching a person, specifically if they weren't talking at all, I don't know that just watching a person, it may be soothing. There's plenty of YouTube videos of people doing things. Like, I got down a rabbit hole at one point on YouTube of these guys. I don't know if they were, like, native to the area or whatever, but they were generally kind of like, I don't know, it could have been like South America, could have been like Taiwan, or someplace, Indonesia or something like that. And it's a guy who's basically in a loincloth. He's just because it's probably real hot. And maybe he's in shorts, but he wasn't wearing much. And he digs these crazy structures and like makes like an underground pool, and he builds this entire, he's just sitting there with like a piece of like, I don't know, bamboo, and he's digging a thing, and it takes him, I'm assuming, months probably, or maybe not, maybe just weeks, but he digs this thing and makes like a little underground house, and there's like water coming in from a bamboo pipe and all this stuff, and then he's got an underground pool, and he's just hanging out, having a good time, and there's no talking in the entire video. It's just a half-hour video of him building a structure. Then the next one is him building a different structure, but it's just him out in the middle of the jungle. And there's definitely people out there who just want to watch other people work. That's definitely a thing, on YouTube. But I'm trying to generally teach people how to do the thing, so that's why I have a tendency to talk about it more. But again, I haven't been doing a lot of videos lately about paint tutorials, but sometimes I do get people who are like, you should you should paint more in the video and talk less. And I'm like, I don't think that that'll actually help. I'm in corporate adult learning, and I can definitely say that getting people to try doing the thing that they're training is a next step stage. Certainly, yeah, you do definitely need to get people, like, you have to do it to really learn it, for sure. People should direct whining energy to doing energy. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. Yes. Question: have you ever thought about chatting live with other creators on Twitch or YouTube on topic regarding the hobby? And who do I need to bribe to get you on a call? Talking to other creators on Twitch or on a... Well, I mean, what do you mean exactly, Tim? You mean like a live stream? Because I did a live stream with Sam last year, or maybe 2 years ago. I forget when it was again, but it was, it might have been as many as 2 years ago. I think it was before the pandemic. Well, yeah, it was. I think he was living in that weird farmhouse that he was living in, that he's not living in now, thankfully, because he's moved back to town. But like, we did an Every Other Sunday show, which didn't go well, and that was frankly because we were talking to each other and we weren't able to pay attention to chat. And so there was that. But otherwise, we've done some videos where we've hung out together, like in the studio. We did one where we talked about brushes. We did one where we talked about paint. We've done some other ones. Obviously, he's come into the studio and done some painting and stuff like that. We're starting to kind of get back into heading in that direction again. We were going to film some stuff actually a little while ago, but then he wasn't sure if he had COVID or not because his girlfriend had some COVID, but he was visiting and it was a thing and all that kind of stuff. And so, but yeah, I think that Lord knows the stuff that I've been seeing online says that at least here in America, it seems like we're maybe on a downward trend, thankfully, again with Omicron, which I constantly want to call Octavius, which is not what it's called. That's that's Dr. Octopus from the Spider-Mans. So yeah, anyway, that would be great if that's the case, because we really also want to go to Adepticon. I would love, like, my plan for 2020 Adepticon was I was going to do a bunch of different types of interviews with folks, and then so now I'm hoping to be able to do that again. I almost just don't want to jinx it. There's a part of me that's like, if I set up a bunch of interviews ahead of time, it's going to get canceled again, and so I kind of am not doing that. But I'm bringing way too much equipment again, and I'll be doing some interviews, hopefully, knock on wood. But yeah, I don't know. I think it would be interesting to do that kind of stuff. Sam and I had an idea recently about how Sam and I should... well, one thing is we want to do a video where we talk about Warcry strategy for beginners, because neither of us is a pro. Sam is better at strategy than I am, but we would talk maybe and just do that at some point. Also, I think it'd be really funny if we, like, I kind of want to do a video where he and I talk about 40K lore from the aspect of people who don't really pay super close attention to it. Like, I know a decent amount about Eisenhorn and Ravnor because I like to read those series of books. I don't do it on loop, but I have read both of them now several times, at least 2, if not 3 times. That being said, my memory's garbage, so if it's been a year or 2, I've forgotten a bunch of it by that point. Then it comes around again. But yeah, I think it'd be funny. It'd be like kind of like those videos you see sometimes on YouTube where, like, oh, my girlfriend, tells me the plot of Star Wars, and it's something that she saw a long time ago, and she's like, I think you do this, and I don't know. So we've thought about doing something like that. We thought it might be kind of funny. I don't know that it's a full-blown Friday video. Maybe it's some sort of extra bonus video. It's hard to say. But yeah, we would like to, it would be nice to kind of get together and talk about hobby stuff with those folks. I don't know. But the live thing is the issue, I think, because like I said, that last time I did the live thing with Sam, it did not, people in the chat were like, hey, what about us? And so, maybe it would be something we would record together, and then maybe we take questions ahead of time on Twitter or something like that, and then answer those questions. That could be a thing, like a Q&A. That might be helpful. I could see that. Changing a person's behavior is a big goal to hit when you are doing this in a streaming format. Yeah. Like a live podcast talk show. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Love that guy. Builds swimming pools with a bamboo shovel and baskets. Dude is ripped. Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, I mean, not like like a bodybuilder, but yeah, he's definitely got core strength. That's for sure. In nursing, when we teach skills, we say watch one, do one, teach one. There you go. Hey, Roan, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you, Roan. Late to the chat due to car issues. Oh, well, that's no good. Soon it will be Omicron lunchtime rainbow. Yeah, a little bit. I see Ash at Gorilla Miniature Games is starting a new weekly live stream show. Would love to see you two guys having a chat. I mean, Ash is a cool guy. I mean, I've talked to him in person at Adepticon a couple of times, or did I see him at... I don't think I've seen him at Gen Con. I think I've only ever talked to him at Adepticon. But yeah, he's a... And for some reason, I don't know, it's one of those things. I've had people come up to me and go, you're a lot taller than I thought. And for some reason, I thought he was shorter than he was. Just watching the videos, I don't know what it is. But then when I met him, I'm like, oh, he's nearly my height, or right around my height. And I thought he would be a lot shorter. I don't know why. It's just where my head put him. But anyway, yeah. No, he's a decent guy. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see something like that. To, I don't know, figure something like that out. Literally just opened my Hobby Hero shirt, or the Punk Rock Pachow shirt, as I call it, and the I Want to Pachow shirts I've ordered. Well, nice. I'm glad to see that. I'm glad that they showed up. I'm like I said, I'm going to be switching over to those designs are going to still go forward. Well, the Punk Rock Pachow one for sure. The I Want to Pachow one I might tweak a little bit, but I might not. But those are definitely going to go forward to the new system. I have 2 other pieces. Let's see here. On my iPad, I can kind of show you another one that's going to go into the designs. It will be weird because you'd be looking at it on an iPad, but let's see what we can do here. Where is my art software? Come on, man. So I worked with this person online, and I said, hey, I am looking for a... basically, like those robots that I've been painting where they're kind of all janky and left behind, like these Forsaken robots. I wanted to make a Forsaken robot t-shirt. And so I worked with this person and gave them some ideas because I liked their stuff that I saw on Twitter, and then I paid them, and then they painted, or they drew it. And then, honestly, I've gone back in and added some texture and changed some shading and things like that because it was all done in layers in Photoshop or whatever, and so I've been doing it in Procreate. This is kind of an early... It'll be on whatever color t-shirt you want, but I don't know if this is going to help or not. It's overexposed, but if I turn it this way, it seems less overexposed. But there's your kind of robot, and there's a building in the way, and then you can see there's a rubble that says TM on it, the Tabletop Minions thing. Yeah, this is overexposed. But anyway, yeah, this will be a design coming soon. I have another design that's already printed. Oh, Jesus. There we go. This is a test shirt. Where is it? Here we go. I actually wore this one on a video a couple weeks ago, I think. It's got some skeletons and that kind of stuff. That was another artist named Nathan something. Nathan Anderson, maybe. Found him on Twitter. And he was just basically I'm a commission drawer and I do a bunch of stuff, and he showed, and he had a lot of skeletons in his portfolio, and I was like, I have this idea, and so that's kind of what came out of that. So that'll be a design you can buy soon too. And then I had that quote in a video recently where I said it's an amazing time it's an amazing time of skulls that we live in, or whatever, and a lot of people are like, oh, that should be a t-shirt, and I was like, yeah, But then I remembered that I have a drawing of a skull that I did that might actually work pretty well for that. So I might use this skull that I drew from a piece of, it was a photograph that I took of a skull that I have in the basement. It's a plastic one. It's not real. But then I kind of was practicing drawing, and it's real simple. And it doesn't look like it here, but there's a lot more shading to it. It's real subtle, and you can't see it here on this thing. Anyway, so I might use that as well, and then add the text to it and some stuff or whatever. But and then there's going to be a Nick shirt. which is just basically be kind of like the sticker, which I think some of you have seen. So yeah, that's all in progress, and it's working with a company called Printful. Well, it's technically I'm going through a company called Fourth Wall, but the production company that's doing a lot of it is Printful, and the big benefit to Printful is it's got multiple facilities all over, UK, US, also I don't know if it's in Australia or near Australia, but they've got some stuff over there as well. Depending on the actual product, I think they have in some situations as many as like 6 or 7 different facilities worldwide. So that's really nice for helping with shipping and all that kind of junk too. So yeah. Do a 2-minute lore video answering the question, who are the good guys? Well, yeah, I could see that. Please do drunk 40k lore for noobs. I don't hate the idea. I'm not going to lie. That's not a bad idea. I mean, there would have to be some Uber or Lyft or something like that involved, I think, or whatever. But yeah. For a while, I got into those restoring videos where a guy restores a horribly rusted and decayed tool or broken handheld game. Yeah, I've seen those too. Where this guy, like a guy, was like restoring like a lantern. Well, lantern is the wrong word. Well, lantern is like more the English word. It was like a World War II or maybe even World War I, like flashlight. That was just basically, it was like German, and it was just like a box. And then it had like a bulb in it, and then like a glass lens on the front, and then there were batteries inside, and it was just a very simple switch across the top, and it was all just beat to hell and rusty and all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, I've watched some of those too, but again, just wordless. They'll put text on the screen once in a while, and like, oh well, then I put this into a bath of such and such acid to clean it up, but there's like no talking, but you just sort of sit there and just watch. There's another guy I watch sometimes who's refinishing furniture, but he's usually doing a voiceover as well. There's a couple of guys I watch that way too. JP got rockets. Unfortunately, I won't be at Adepticon, my SDGS boss. I don't know what SDGS is, but can't get a medical exemption from the org as he is one of the few that legitimately can't wear a mask. He has a face shield, but not good enough. I don't know what the... but that's a bummer, though, that you can't... yeah, that's no good. Should have put the designs in Patreon. I mean, yeah, they... well... This design, like I said, I've posted some time ago on the Discord is the word I'm looking for. But yeah, and so this one will go live, and then those other two that I showed you will go live, and then maybe the skull one will come a little bit later, but maybe not. Maybe I'll be able to get it done. Like I said, the drawing is done. I just need to figure out the text. I want the text to be a little spooky. That'd be kind of fun. Yeah. Loved the Friday video. Points you made were spot on. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Ron. Somebody in the comments was like, that's only 4 myths. And then I was like, is it? And then I went back and looked. I looked at my notes, and I was like, no, I don't know if this person was just messing with me, or they don't know how to count, or they thought that maybe one of them was a myth and the other 3, or the other one wasn't. I don't know what it was, but it was one of those deals where I got a comment, and I'm like, did I miss one? And I went back and looked. I'm like, no, I didn't. There's 5, and so that was fun. But yeah, it worked out good. Let's see here. Very cool design. Nice shirt. Great design. I'm only waiting for my live, laugh, blood, and blood. There you go. Disappointed Adam doesn't have a real skull in his basement. No, I don't. I have a glow-in-the-dark plastic model of a skull. Like it's not just like a something from Target or whatever. It was like a friend of mine bought it for me on my birthday one years and years and years and years ago, millions of years ago. And you got it like at the hobby store, and it was like a model airplane, but it was like to teach people about, oh, this is how skulls work. I don't know, whatever. But it was also glow in the dark, which was weird. And that's been in the basement for quite some time. And then I do have a skull that I bought like day after Halloween at Target, which eventually I do want to, I got it super cheap. And then they also had this like one of those, I forget what they call them, but it's like a wooden structure, and then you put like a clear glass dome over it, and it's kind of tall. But of course it's plastic, it's not glass. But both of those things were on sale separately at Target like day after Halloween, and I was like, does this skull fit inside there? And it does. So then I was like, well, eventually I'm going to like make it look like a servo skull and put it inside that thing. It'll be super dope. Anyway. And I do have a skull that's made out of resin or something like that that has a Ouija board printed on it for reasons. That's kind of cool. So yeah, I do have we have some skulls up here too. We don't have any real ones. There used to be a squirrel or possibly a rabbit skull that was outside on the picnic table. That one was real, but we just found it. I swear. Let's see here. Totally getting a Nick shirt. Nice. Such a rascal. Constantly hiding back there. Yes, officer, it's not real. It's plastic. See, there you go. What is she doing?
She is chasing her own tail.
Chasing her own tail. Yeah, well, it's good old Margot. She makes her own fun. Do I risk rattle can undercoat in the dark at -1C? So that's right around freezing. So in Fahrenheit, that's like probably 30. Given it's turnip 28, so if it comes out weird, oh yeah, no, if it's turnip 28 and it comes out weird, you're fine. Honestly, that's the one thing that I don't think I'm going to do with my turnip 28 stuff. So much of the stuff I see on Instagram when I follow turnip 28 hashtag and things like that is that people are like just glopping texture onto these models. And I'm not going to tell them not to, certainly. That's totally cool. I don't know that I want to paint them that way. Like, I'm going to add some texture. Definitely, like, there's going to be some texture on their legs, like because they're slopping through mud pretty much all the time. So definitely their legs are going to be kind of icky, like a lot of, some, I don't know, something. But I don't know about just like, well, here's some spackle, and then you just put that on the, I want to go a little bit differently than that. And I know that the aesthetic has a tendency to be like a lot of heavy texture, but I don't want to do as much, let's just say. So that's what I'll probably do. I am trying to figure out if I'm going to put like grass like growing out of their shoulders or things like that. If I do that, I don't know if I'm going to put it on before or post priming. Mostly I want to do it post priming, but there's a part of me that's like, but maybe it's not a bad idea to try priming over it. Maybe I should try priming some stuff, some grass on something else just for grins to see what it does, and then go from there. Again, taking into consideration I'm priming predominantly with an airbrush. That could be something too. If you ever played Monkey Island, I will just assume that one of your skulls is named Murray. It's not, but it should be. It's a pretty good skull name, right? I mean, it's better than just Scully, I guess. I don't know. Honestly, Scully's not bad either, really. SDGS, Sea Dog Game Studios, producers of the Sail Power and Tech Commander games. Oh, right. Gotcha. I see. All right. So can't get a medical exemption from the org as he is one of the few legitimately can't wear a mask. Oh, I see. So he can't go to Adepticon because Adepticon's requiring masks and vax, the whatever card thing. Gotcha. Okay, I see what you're saying. I thought you were like going to be stuck at work or something, and I couldn't figure it out, but I get what you're saying. Yep. Let's see here. There are only 4 myths. Perhaps a reference to TNG reference. Oh, it could have been, I guess, but the 4 lights and the 5 lights, that's a good point. Or was it 3 lights and 4 lights? I don't know. I forget, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Wife is bugging me to do stuff for her, so I better go catch you tomorrow on the Sunday stream, maybe tonight if you stream again. Yeah, there's a part of me that's wondering about it. And the only reason I was thinking about it was because I went back and watched a bit of the stream from the video game stream that I did last Saturday on Twitch. And it looks to me, and I want to test this, I guess. This is me being a scientist. I want to test and figure out what is going on because I feel like the frame rate doesn't look right. It doesn't look the same to me like when I'm playing the game, and then I also am playing the rerun, whatever, the VOD, as they call it, the kids. I'm playing a VOD of the stream from Saturday. They aren't moving at the same frame rate. There's definitely something weird going on there. And I'm wondering if it's because of a limitation of the NDI streaming that I'm doing, whereas the gaming PC is not going to a capture card on the other PC. It is actually broadcasting across my internal network, which is a gigabit network, but still, whatever. And so I just don't know. So it could be something completely else. It could be just OBS being weird. It could be lots of things. It could be Twitch being weird. So I was going to use the capture card that I was using on the PlayStation that was plugged into the other PC, which is now currently disconnected. So I was going to just grab that capture card because it's an external one, and then just try it that way, and then see if there's a difference. I don't know, that was my thought for maybe this evening. if I'm feeling fat and sassy after dinner, let's say. So I'll post something on places. I posted on Twitter last time, and I forgot to post on Discord. So I'll post on Discord as well if people want to watch me swear at pixels as I try to shoot mans in the face, and sometimes ladies. There's a lot of there's both mans and ladies in the Battlefield 2042. There have been some updates as well, and there's been finally some news, and they're going to be doing some more updates and things like that. So I think that's kind of cool. I was talking to a friend of mine who was also saying that there's rumors going around that they might turn the game into free to play to try to get numbers back up again or something like that. So it might become a free to play game, which I think is crazy, but I mean, if it works, I don't know. We'll see. So I bought it used. Or not used, sorry. I bought it on sale. I bought it instead of $60. I bought it for like $40 on sale, like right around Christmas or right before the New Year, something like that. Yeah. When I was at art school in the late '90s, I was able to do drawing studies from a real skeleton, like a real human skeleton. That sounds spooky. Yeah, I don't. We did drawing studies from real people. We did that was weird. Like as a freshman in college, right? You go to your first semester freshman year, and you're going to take live drawing classes, and then there's naked people, and you're like, oh geez, naked people, and you start drawing, and you're like, oh, naked people, and then literally within 15 minutes, you forget that they're naked. You're just angry that you can't draw a foot to save your damn life because they are really hard to draw, or hands. Hands also suck, and you're just God friggin', you're just swearing at yourself as you're trying to do this and stuff, and you completely forget that there's a naked person in front of you, 10 feet away. Yeah, that was initially I was like, oh, this is going to be distracting. I don't know, naked lady or whatever, and then all of a sudden it was just it didn't even matter. So probably very quickly you'd go from wow, that's a human skeleton that used to be in a person. Hopefully that person's okay without their skeleton, but and you would very quickly go to just being angry that you can't draw bones, I guess. I don't know. I drew a cat skeleton in high school, which I think was a real cat skeleton. It probably was. Yeah, it was something that it was like a prop that we had in art class when I was a senior. Yeah. Rattle can over 4C only. I've always been a big fan of not going out in the cold to rattle can. I'm not a big fan of going out in the cold in general, but it's okay. I'm getting older, and so it's less and less okay every year. But I've always been no, I don't want a rattle can below this particular degrees and stuff. But I've seen plenty of videos from folks who are I'm going to go outside and show you that it's okay to rattle can at negative 13 degrees Fahrenheit or whatever, and I know that they tell you that you want, in the house, just inside the door, you want a big old bowl of hot water. You want to set that can in there and get it nice and warm, and then go outside and spray. And then they also tell you generally to bring the model into the house to dry, because if you leave it outside, you can sometimes get kind of almost like an orange peel kind of consistency to the paint as it dries in the cold. That's the one downside. For me, though, I don't want to bring the model in the house to dry, because then it will be outgassing propellant and stink up the house, and I don't like that. That's why I do it outside in the first place. So for me, that's not a particular. But if you're okay with that, or if you've got I've also heard people who are oh yeah, just go put it in the bathroom, turn the fan on, and it's fine. Well, we don't have a fan in either of our bathrooms, so that's also a problem. But yeah. There are people on the internet that will tell you, and it will show you on videos, that it's fine, but there are caveats, aka you want to be warming up the can, and also you want to bring the model in the house to dry. So if you don't want to do either of those things, then I would tell you probably not to try to do it outside when it's cold like this. Totally agree, my textures are going on during painting, not before. I guess, yeah, if you use texture paint, I could see that. Yeah, that's true too. I hadn't thought of that. That would actually be a benefit, because then I could use maybe some of my textured... there's so much of the GW texture paint that I'm not using anymore, because I like the texture stuff from Monument better, but it's just gray. So if you wanted to use some other colors that might work. Sparingly, I think, is the important thing. Sparingly. Let's see here. How about a shirt with Diesel sneaking random bits of hair into your painting table? I mean, he is sneaky that way. That's true. I don't know how you explain that through. That sounds almost more like a webcomic, a little bit. I don't know. I'm not sure. You can get away in a veranda as the house heat will make it warm enough. If you have a veranda, yes, that is probably true. I don't have a veranda, as it sadly. Do you varnish in the winter? Yes, I do, but I'm using airbrush varnish, so that doesn't really answer that. I mean, it sort of doesn't answer that question. I don't use rattle can varnish anymore. I used to use Tester's Dull Coat. That was my go-to varnish, which is a rattle can. And I think they changed the formulation at some point, and it's just not as good as it used to be. It's not as matte or flat as it used to be. It's more semi-gloss or whatever, satin, if you will. And I just don't like it as much, so I stopped using it, and I've only been using airbrush varnish. So I can do that anytime, pretty much, of the year because it's indoors and all that stuff. So yeah. Look for Spanish moss. It makes excellent roots, and undercoating the tufts gives them a bit more body. That would make sense, yeah, because that Spanish moss type stuff, or is it lichen or lichen? Like when I hear lichen, I think werewolves, but that's L-Y. But the L-I-C-H-E-N that you see at craft stores and stuff like that is, I don't know how to pronounce that. Anyway, that would also be something useful, I think, on Turnip 28 bases and maybe even on models. Just stick some of it to their legs or something, I don't know. Equal opportunity first-person shooter games. Yeah, well, they have these characters. Like, in the previous Battlefield, in Battlefield 5, you could just choose whether you wanted to be a dude or a lady or whatever, and then you could choose, like, a different head, and you could kind of customize things and stuff like that, but they just were, you looked like what you looked like, kind of, and there you go. And it wasn't super important. In this new version, Battlefield 2042, they've tried to take something from some other games, like Overwatch and other games like that, where you're picking characters. No one in the game is ever just soldier number 5. It's always like, oh, you're playing, Angel. You're playing Falk. Like Angel is like, his special ability is he can drop a supply crate from the sky, like on a parachute. He can just call it in and and the people can walk up to it on your team, and they can switch their loadouts like mid-game using that, which is nice. And also they can replenish their ammo and stuff like that. But nobody else can do that. Falk, she's like a maybe German, and she's like kind of a medic. Like she can shoot whatever gun you want and all that stuff. She could be a sniper, she could be whatever. But she also has, which nobody else has, is this special gun which allows her to shoot you at a distance, which is what guns do. But it's a healing gun. It's like, hey, you need some health. And then I shoot you with a syringe, I guess, which you're like, ow, oh, I feel so much better. Weird. But yeah, so she's got that ability. Plus, I think everybody can use the defibrillators to revive somebody, a teammate. But when she does it, you come back with full health, as opposed to I come back with like a 20 or 25% or whatever it was. So everyone's got their own little kind of weird squirrely thing, but they all have different personalities. And you can change their clothes and stuff as you unlock this and that, but they all look the same kind. Like, you could have 5 people who are all playing the same person, and they would all have the same head. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of, I don't know. I don't know if I like that as much, but it's okay. Feet and hands are the worst. That's true. Hey, Zambies, how you doing? Yeah, feet and hands are the worst. They are definitely difficult to draw. I mean, we look at Rob Liefeld. That's why he just kind of doesn't draw them. Specifically feet, but I don't know. I can't remember his hands, though. It was a real skeleton, but it was like 40 years old at that point. Did life drawing too. Nice. Secondary school science had a real skeleton, was finally interred in 2010 after over 100 years in use. Wow, that's crazy. Not a fan of the cold, but you've got that gloriously floofy beard. I mean, maybe this is just to help against the cold, frankly. Yeah, I don't know. Even in death, I still serve. See, there you go. It's Gaddis Gaming. How you doing? Nice. My garage is heated, and we have a filtering thing for woodwork. It works well to mix the air and help the stench of priming. See, that's really nice. That's like ideal. When I was growing up, our neighbors were really into woodworking and stuff like that. And so they had a heated garage, And so they would be out there doing all kinds of stuff and sawing wood and making things or whatever. And then their kids got into like, I don't know, like 4-H, which is, if you're not from the United States, what is 4-H like? I don't even remember what the 4-H's are, but 4-H was like it's kind of like the Boy Scouts or the Cub Scouts or whatever, but it's for boys and girls, and it's about stuff like horticulture is probably one of the H's. Husbandry, like animal husbandry. It's like kind of farmer stuff, kind of like growing things, but it could also be like there were people that one of the kids, because the neighbors had 4 kids, one of them was into leather work, and they would make these really cool things and stuff like that, and then enter them in the county fair and the 4-H thing and maybe win something. But one of them was into pigeons, racing them, I'm assuming. I don't know. Yeah, whatever. And so then the upper floor of their garage became a pigeon place, pigeon land, place where pigeons live. I don't know. And there was like a special hole in the back of the garage that they could like take the pigeons, put them in a cage, drive them X amount of distance away, very far away, and then they would fly back. And then they could come in and land, and there was like a little thing that they could come in, but they couldn't get back out or whatever, and all this stuff. And then instead of just smelling like burning wood over there, which is lovely, like in the winter you go over to visit and you're like, oh, this is nice, and it's a wood shop. Now it smells like burning wood and pigeon shit. So that wasn't ideal. But yeah, that's like the only like nice heated garage that I've ever like, hung around in. Let's just say that. But a heated garage, if you've got one for work, like stuff like that, for doing things out in the garage, that would be ideal for rattle can and all that jazz in the winter. I'm working on a capital spaceship combat game. Capital. Oh, like big, like capital ships. I get you. I was like thinking capital letters. Capital spaceship game, fleet scale. Thinking about bringing it to Adepticon. Cool. That's kind of cool. It's pronounced lichen, or reindeer moss, if you want to be specific about it. Oh, there you go. So lichen, like lichens, like the werewolves or whatever. Gotcha. So it's not lichen. If you say lichen, you're probably some sort of dork. But yes, I get you. Okay. Life drawing was super fun. Went back to school for photography for a bit. Really enjoyed the drawing and art history classes. I liked art history. We had a really interesting teacher, or professor. A lot of people didn't like him, but I liked him quite a bit. Yeah, I mean, I went to school initially for graphic design. That's what I went into school for originally. And then about halfway through, I changed over to photography because the graphic design department at my school was just teaching the same old crap over and over again. And they really weren't leaning into computers too much. This is early 90s. And so I just felt like I wasn't going to get... I was talking to people who had graduated who would like, if you try to go to get a job at any place within 1,000 miles, when you short your portfolio, they'll be like, oh yeah, that's from Oshkosh. Because they had not changed the curriculum much in so long that people hiring had just seen this portfolio over and over and over again. And so I was kind of bummed about that. And I was also getting more interested into photography, which I'd been doing since high school. And so I switched over to fine art photography and stuff. But yeah. So yeah, that's there you go. There's my college experience. We've got 4-H in Canada too. Oh, okay, cool. That makes sense, I guess. Yeah. Glad I could be around for a bit, got a ditch, and throw a few kids down a sled hill. Well, I mean, hopefully they're kids as opposed to just if you just go to the sled hill and start throwing kids down, you're going to get arrested probably, or at least at a good talking to. It's hopefully they're kids then it's probably fine. But actually, but absolutely have a good weekend. One of the things I'm not a huge fan of about some video games recently is the transition to character operator type things. I find it a bit jarring when everyone is a specific character. I also agree. Yeah, that also is weird. I wish they hadn't have done that, frankly. Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed Battlefield 4 for me, just to get off topic a little bit, was probably the pinnacle. I think that was probably one of the best games that they made. Battlefield 1 was actually quite good as well. Battlefield 5, it was fine, but I'm kind of a little tired of World War II video games. Yeah, Battlefield 2042 I'm enjoying, but it's not as good as I wish it could be. And also the fact that, yeah, you see like three dudes who all kind of look the same, running the same direction, and the same characters, and you're like, well, that's triplets, weird. Battle triplets is what they are, and you don't need that. I don't think that's a good idea. Let's see here. What's the word on Tabletop Minions Expo? Are we having it this year? In theory, yes. The plan is, I believe, right now, let me go check. The date that is penciled in with the university, I believe, is the 4th and 5th of June. Yes. 4th and 5th of June is the current penciled in date. They were like, things might change, and this was honestly before the Omicron or whatever. And they're like, we're pretty. We generally think things should be fine, but we just want to. And so yeah. So in theory, and then one of the reasons I haven't really pushed out and talked about it a ton yet is just because of Omicron. Now, like I said earlier, it's looking like Omicron is starting to droop, which is good. We wanted a good droopy Omicron. I saw an interesting article recently about how a lot of the way we've been tracking the virus is through poop. There's people who look at and they test poop on the East Coast, and they're like, yep, it's starting to go away. Starting to, and people are like, what? And they're like, but all the numbers are like here. And they're like, yeah, the numbers are here, but the poop numbers are here. And so these numbers, there's a lag time, but it follows and it does not deviate. And so that's interesting. So it looks like it's hopefully starting to go away. Who knows what's going to happen next? Hopefully everything will come up rainbows and puppies, knocking on wood, and kittens. Those are good too. But yeah, that's the plan currently. Hopefully, I'm not, because of the way things are currently, I'm not going to Las Vegas Open next week. I don't know if I mentioned it on, did I mention it on Twitter? I don't know if I mentioned it on Twitter, but I mentioned it on Twitch on Friday. I canceled my flight, and I actually rescheduled it for Nova Open, which is at the end of August. Hopefully things are better by then. And I canceled my hotel room and all that stuff. So I'm not going to Vegas, which is a bummer. I was looking forward to it, but it's just not a good idea right now, I don't think. So, yeah. But in theory, if you're interested, pencil in, again, with pencil. Don't use pencil on your phone. If you want to put it in your phone, just put it in your phone. But if you've got an actual paper thing, pencil. June, which is the 6th month, 4th and 5th. So, as I know a little bit more, then I will start to talk about it a little bit more and get people involved. But that's kind of where we're at right now. Everything's up in the air. I mean, there's a part of me that doesn't wonder if maybe, because things are starting to get a bit better again, knocking on wood. 2 weeks ago, I would have told you that Adepticon was a 50-50. I think things are getting better now, so I think it's better. I think it's not 50-50 anymore. I think it's a much better chance. But again, we'll see. Lord knows. We hope. Let's see here. Can't wait to revisit Lieutenant Titus, Space Marine 2. Yeah, it's interesting he's a lieutenant now, because he was a captain in the first one. So evidently there was some sort of thing. Captains are better than lieutenants, right? I never went in the military, so I don't know. But I think that captains are higher than lieutenants. Anyway, yeah, I don't know when the heck that's supposed to be coming out. I have no idea, but I'm looking forward to it, hopefully. Recently installed a dust/air filtration system in my shop. It's amazing how much of a difference that makes. Oh, nice. Well, that seems pretty good. Has to be Roman numerals because Ultramarines. True. I, for one, understand Roman numerals. Up until a certain point, I'm like, oh yeah, I can see that. But then you get to a certain point, and I'm like, I forget what that one is. What is that? Yeah. I think it was funny when we got to the 50th. I think it was the 50th Super Bowl, and then it was Super Bowl L. And just at that point, I'm like, maybe we should just start using numbers. Okay, let's not. Sure. Battlefield 2142 was good. Yeah, that's kind of what I really was hoping they were going to revisit. Actually, I was really hoping it was going to be like a super sci-fi version of Battlefield instead of being 20 years in the future, but still. Captain outranks lieutenant. That's what I thought. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. Like I said, this afternoon is going to be a mixture of getting things going for the speed painting video, or the speed paints video, the Army Painter speed paints video. One thing I'm going to do is I bought this construction paper. It's like not quite black, but it's a very dark gray technically. And I'm going to put that down on my hobby area, because currently my hobby area, I have this mat, this black mat, which if you watch me on Twitch, you've seen it, and it says the Army Painter all over it because they made it and they sent me one, and it was like a special thing for Christmas a couple years ago. They sent out to a couple different creators, and it's great and it fits my table great, but I just feel like it would be, I don't want to say a conflict of interest, but I could see people going, well, yeah, but so I'm just going to cover that up with a piece of construction paper and it'll be fine, which means I'm going to have to move a lot of Skaven and stuff out of the way, but that's fine too. Yeah, so those shots hopefully will not have, the Army Painter logo all over it, and when I'm talking about their product, because that seems suspect a little bit, even though it's not. But yeah, so I'm going to be doing that and getting that stuff ready. And I think I will try to do some airbrushing with it too. I also, not just just straight, like, here's a bunch of guys that I primed white and we're going to test some colors. I also have 3 or 4 models that I zenithalled to test it with that as well. Because if for some strange reason that doesn't make any sense to me, it does not work well with a zenithal, then it's going to be a not particularly good review, from my opinion. Like I said, I've already tried it out on just plain old white here and there, and I'm like, oh, it works fine. I like it. It's just half as expensive as the Games Workshop stuff. But if it, for some reason, did not work with Zenithal, some reason, I don't even know why, some patchiness or something, or it's too thick, or I don't know what, then that would be bad. But I don't really suspect that'll happen. But it was literally like last weekend where I was like, I should probably make sure I test that as well. So I primed up some stuff real quick that I had just laying around. So we'll see how it goes. I, for one, see, there you go. There you go. I get it. Let's see here. Lieutenant, captain, major, colonel, general, and then retirement, or a cushy job at a defense contractor. Nice. Nice. Yeah, do they have anything? I mean, like, there's no privates or corporals or stuff like that in Space Marines. It's basically like you're like a regular Space Marine until eventually you become a sergeant, I think, and then from there, then there's lieutenants, and I guess then captains. I don't know if they do. I've never seen a major, I guess, in Space Marines, or colonel. Now I can think of it. Interesting. That's probably one of those things that's in the Codex. I bet it would probably say that someplace. At least maybe the Space Marines Codex would probably be in there. But yeah, like I said, I've seen sergeants and I've seen lieutenants and I've seen captains, but I've never seen generals. I don't think. You got chapter masters. That's a whole different thing altogether. But yeah, it's interesting. Interesting. Well, my wife made some grilled cheese sandwiches. Not one for me. No. So maybe I'll make one for myself, and because I'm kind of hungry. But I want to thank everybody for coming by, and we will see you folks, hopefully, if you can make it, tomorrow, every other Sunday show. I don't know yet what the subject is about. I should probably think about that as well. If you have an idea for something simple, like a question or something like that, throw it in the Discord, I guess. I don't know. The whole concept of having a subject for the Sunday show it basically gives me something to put in the thumbnail to some degree. And sometimes I talk about it a little bit more than less. Like the last one where I talked about Marvel Conflict Protocol, Crisis Protocol, whatever the hell. It was more of a situation of I did talk more about it just because more people were chatting about it and asking questions and things like that. But there are other times where I'm like, this is the subject for today's video, and I'll talk about it for literally out of 2 hours, 10 minutes, and that's it. But that's fine. I'm mainly here to chat and answer questions on those shows, so that's fine. Anyway, that's where we're at. So I'll figure something out, and we'll put it out there. Hopefully I see you at Nova. Saw you there in 2019. Yeah, like I said, I took when I canceled my flight to Vegas, I switched it to Nova. So I'll be, in theory, going to Nova and looking forward to that. I'm always looking forward to Nova. It's a very good place. Bases, need they be painted and made look good, or is just black good enough? Ooh, that's controversial, is what that is right there. I don't know. Maybe we could talk about basing. I don't know. It's possible. What about those clear bases, though? I'm not sure about those either. There's benefits. I can see the benefits, but I don't know. How to make your own game. That seems like a long one, frankly, though. I've had people asking more and more about that, so we'll see how that goes. I don't know. That would be a me and Vince question as opposed to just a me question, I think. If it was just a question of me, one of the first steps would be get someone like Vince, because he does a lot of the design heavy lifting. We collaborate on the creative and the ideas and stuff like that, but when it comes down to the math and design and a lot of the writing, it's Vince. And then once that's all done, then I go into layout and art direction and all that jazz and all that kind of stuff. So there's that, definitely. Made a DIY spray booth, works great. However, I see so many people just airbrush over an old t-shirt or construction paper to absorb the overspray or just spray onto their hobby desktop. I don't even do that. Because I paint in a separate room. So every once in a while I just have to wipe down the room. But it's this little weird room underneath the basement stairs. So it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, like if I was to airbrush up here, I would definitely want one of those vents that sucks up the stuff and goes into like an air filter thing. That would be way better. I don't know that a t-shirt would necessarily, it'd be okay. It's better than nothing, if you're airbrushing on the dining room table, but I would think one of those vents would work a lot better. So there's that. There you go. All right. Well, I will talk to you folks, hopefully, some of you tomorrow, and we'll go from there. And I hope you have a good Saturday, unless it's already Sunday where you are. Then have a good one of those. I hope you had a good Saturday, and then But I am kind of hungry, so I'm going to go do that and take care of that. And we'll see you folks tomorrow. And thanks for coming by. And like I said, if you got any questions or something, maybe drop it in the Discord if you want to. Well, something might spark something. It'll turn into a subject for tomorrow. But we'll